Hello and welcome to another Let's Play. Me, GamerWolfSix of Sileo, Tales of Anew. Before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, you can get it for free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that make this game and or get the news version earlier, you can get it on Patreon for $5 a month or $54 a year. So, last Let's Play, it's definitely one of those things where you think it could be a quick scene or it isn't, and it wasn't. Because it was us coming home, giving some deets to Diego here, and what was the other thing? There was a quick thing about Spencer, and then us fighting an epic battle against the pants spider, which turned out to be $200 bills. Because it do be like that. Also, he walked on his naked because it was like, what is all that noise? Anyways, reset face because reasons. Yo, Hadrian, can you pass me a soda? Doing as Diego had requested, I reached down into the brown paper bag, resting to the side of my chair, and retrieved a can of carbonated soda from the six-pack we had bought only 10 minutes prior. In a refreshing change of pace, compared to the typical morning meal with Diego, our breakfast that day, if you consider it as such a late meal to be breakfast, took place in the local mall. And Diego, who despite his drastically improved financial situation, still seemed to struggle when it came to shedding the old frugal habits that had served us so well in our university days. Now, so it's meaning that he's much improved right now compared to university? I mean, I guess so. I was gonna say, what did he do? But it's like, oh right, he works at Ty's bar pretty much exclusively. As such, rather than pay premium for beverages from the food court, Diego had insisted on buying a multi-pack from the grocery store instead. It was more economical by his reckoning. As I handed the drink to him, Diego wasted no time in cracking it open and taking several sizable and desperate gulps before even having fully swallowed his mouthful of donuts. Finally, he swallowed the sugary combo, resulting in a dramatic and exasperated groan of relief. That hits the spot. Oh, heads up, we've got company. I swiveled in my chair, following Diego's gaze that was directed over my shoulder and immediately to my rear. As I spun in place, I recognized a familiar face approaching our table. A tray containing kebab and fries, clutched firmly in hand. Hey guys, sorry I'm a bit behind schedule. I hope I haven't kept you waiting long. Not all. We've just only sat down ourselves. Before Dom had even seated himself, his attention had been drawn to the unusual and unexpected sight that was Diego's tray. Donuts? I can't remember the last time you ordered anything that wasn't buffet, Diego. Yeah, well, you know what Diego's like, and the lady behind the counter was looking extra scary today, so he decided he wasn't going to risk it, or he decided. You know, Diego, you wouldn't have a problem if you didn't always overfill your plate. Hey, if she wants people to take less food, she should start using smaller plates. Ain't my fault. I like getting my money's worth. Diego scowled. In all fairness to him, I didn't actually disagree with his logic, but he knew the kind of response he would get if he overfilled his plate, and still went and did it anyway. He certainly was stubborn, to say the least, if not something of a sucker for punishment. Also, you might get your wish. I mean, know how corporations are. What's the thing? It's not like inflation, but it's like what's it called? You know, where it's like it's the same price of bag, but they put less chips in it, or a smaller bag. With an amused grin, Dom placed his tray in the open space to my right, before fetching an unused chair from the nearby table. He sat himself down and grabbed several of his fries, eagerly tossing them in his mouth with anticipation. So, Dom, I take it you have something pretty big if you're calling us out in person like this, huh? Earlier that morning, I had barely woken up when I received a call from Dom. He informed me that he had found out something more about Spencer, and, in usual subversion of my expectations, asked us to meet him at lunch in the food court. Both Diego and I were not due to start until 2 p.m., and consequently had enjoyed something of a sleep-in. Not that waking up so late had done Diego any favors, as evidenced by his voracious appetite for caffeinated beverages and refined sugar. For whatever reason, despite having woken up later than I had, Diego seemed to be completely exhausted. Well, kind of. It's nothing that couldn't have been done over the phone, but I guess I thought it'd be nice, to meet up during lunch break and tell you both in poison. You really dragged me out of bed at this crazy hour because you wanted to hang out? Diego, I think you'll find it's after midday. Also, weren't we supposed to be working today? Your point? Sorry, I don't want to be ungrateful or anything. It's just, I have been working some crazy hours the last few days, and, well, didn't sleep well last night. I understand, Diego. I'll be sure to communicate my intentions better next time. That's on me. Don't mind him, Dom. We have work at 2 p.m. anyway. He'd be just as awake and just in a grumpy regardless of our plans. But I could have squeezed another half hour. Could have made all the difference. Come on, Diego. Cheer up. You'll be in less than a grumpy mood when you hear what I've found. Or found? Diego sighed, his stubborn crankiness promptly dispatched by his insatiable curiosity as he stuffed another donut into his gaping maw before once again downing it with a gluttonous swig of precious caffeine. Fine. You win. I'll buy. Let's hear it. That's the spirit. So, I told you both yesterday about this Solomon guy. Well, I couldn't find anything more in the archives about him. It's like I said, just like Spencer, he's a total ghost. I scoured the archives for hours, and in my desperation, even tried the regular old internet just in case. Just when I thought that I had it was lost cause, I found this topic on a local message board a few years back. It spoke of a hot spring in the north of town, tucked away inside the thicket near the nice overlook. Apparently, the springs are private property, but the owner seems to let people come and go as they please. Hot springs? I had no idea there were any in Woodcrest. We should definitely check them out. Well, I hate to dash your hopes like this, but I'm under the understanding that they're more traditional style of hot springs. The kind with a rather specific dress code, if you will. What do you mean, dress code? You expect to bathe in some kind of suit or something? Dom chuckled to himself as Diego's expression grew more and more confused with each passing second. As it happened, I knew exactly what Dom was suggesting. Diego, being Diego, however, had not quite grasped the implication. On the contrary, the only kind of suit you're allowed to wear is your birthday suit. What? That's, like, mad gay. I'll have to take your word for it. After all, you of all people would be the authority on that. Tss. Hey, shut up. That's harassment. Dom and I shared a hearty laugh that flustered Diego's experience. Before I continued our conversation, leaving Diego to pick up the pieces of his own fragile masculinity. So, I take it you aren't planning on a field trip then, Dom? I wouldn't be so quick to make that assumption, although perhaps only in specific company. I don't want just anyone seeing the family jewels, you understand. But I did call Axel this morning, asked if he wanted to come. Didn't realize Russell was with him, and, well, it kind of backfired a bit. I don't know how to feel about sharing the water with a shark again so soon. Russell wants to come along. Axel isn't so sure, though. But hold on, why are you telling us this? What's this have to do with anything? Oh, right. Sorry for these stories. I get kind of carried away with the journey that I forget about the destination. So the point. One of the posts on that message board mentioned that the owner had given them permission to be there. They didn't know who he was, but they described him as a well-dressed, jet-black raven with a strikingly red eyes. Spencer. Who else could it be? Well, with that information in hand, I returned to the archives to hunt for any information that would turn up on the hot springs. I spent a good hour searching in vain, until finally they turned up under the non-existent street address. What I found confirmed those hot springs were owned by one Spencer Marsden. Whoa, a surname? That's big news. You'd have thought so, but adding that surname to the equation turned up nothing that had already located. In and of itself, knowing his surname proved entirely fruitless. But the information that I had on the hot spring, some things just didn't add up. In particular, the hot springs were officially established 19 years ago, yet there are several records on a file predating this, not to mention that weird street address. The road in question was indeed close by, but the address didn't exist, nor did the hot springs themselves officially have a street address. So I followed the trail of breadcrumbs back, and eventually I found out why. The hot springs were originally on the grounds of private property nearby. Private property used to reside in that non-existent address, but was demolished more than half a century ago, and the address was subsequently disestablished. It wasn't until decades later, after the demolition, that the hot springs were made standalone. From what I can tell, they are the only thing that remains of that property. The rest is nothing more than forest now. But here's the kicker. I managed to locate the demolition paperwork, and guess who's the owner of the property was at that time? Spencer? Nope. Try again. Remember, the property was demolished more than 50 years ago now. I knew exactly what the answer was going to be. I chipped in, if only to put Diego out of his misery. Let me guess. Solomon Moreau? Bingo. Eh? That's another thing linking those two names together. Surely, this can't be a coincidence. My thoughts exactly. And have you noticed those two names share the same initials? Perhaps that could be more of a coincidence, but with everything else, I feel it's at least worth remembering. Weird shit, dude. Any ideas on what all this could mean? Regrettably, we still have too little for any theories to hold much water, but I do wonder if perhaps the records can be tampered with for some reason. We know Spencer has some kind of involvement with the local government. That would at least explain the how, although the why is still very much an enigmatic detail. He's gotta be up to no good. That's why he has to do something like that. Or why else? We don't know for sure, Diego. It's like I said, it's one of my theories. I have another if you'd like to hear it, and the two theories are not mutually exclusive either. Go on then. That both Spencer Marsden and Sam Moreau are pseudonyms. Pseudonym? An alias, a false name, which goes a long way to explain why so few records exist for either name, and perhaps it might explain the mentioned initials as well. Perhaps that was deliberate? Some kind of identifier maybe? Dude, what if they're the same person? That's not possible. After all, it's not legal to sign a demolition under the age of 18, and it's more than half a century ago that Solomon signed the dotted line. If Solomon was even alive, he'd be very, very old by now. Oh, right. Spencer doesn't look that old. I'd be surprised if he was a day over 30. Yeah, living in a game where everybody's young. Yeah, perhaps Spencer inherited the hot springs from Solomon. Maybe the change in title was the inheritance on Solomon's passing. Could he be a relative? A grandparent, perhaps? Although, if it were the death certificate by that name, if there were, I'm sure I would have found it by now. It's something to look into, I guess. And come to think of it, say both names were pseudonyms, How do we know they refer to one person? Is it possible that those names have been used by several individuals? Perhaps even in a whole organization? Whoa. Sorry, I got a little carried away there, I think. It's just another possibility from a long, long list of potential explanations. A list that all going well, will become a lot smaller in the near future when you find out more. Anyway, that's everything for now. Do either of you have any thoughts? Dom took a hearty bite out of his kebab, which over the course of our conversation had gone mostly in touch, and had no doubt grown cold. As listeners, however, both Diego and I had fared considerably better, as Diego greedily inhaled the final donut, and I, who ordered less food than either of my compadres, had long since finished. Diego's mouth was full, his facial expression documenting the overwhelming sweetness of cotton candy-flavored donut, in excruciating detail. Accordingly, I responded to Dom's question first, allowing them both time to finish their respective mouthfuls. I can't help but feel every time we learn something new, it only raises more questions. A long time ago, a friend once told me that if a situation seemed like that, your perspective of the situation was out of whack. There might be some line of thinking here that we haven't considered yet. Dom nodded, in appreciation for the wisdom behind the words, but he, like I, had no idea what line of thought might have been. But then I remembered something else, something important. It wasn't an answer to my question, but it was something that might help us find some answers. Hey Dom, riddle me this. Say Spencer was standing right in front of you. What would you say to him? What question would you ask him? Ask whose answer would blow this whole mystery wide open. Dom, with impressive restraint and dignity, compared to our rather messier company, delayed his response as he swallowed his current mouthful of kebab. Picking up a napkin, he cleared away a small quantity of barbecue sauce that escaped from his meal before, finally turned towards me in response. We have to remember that this guy is still every possibility that Spencer is dangerous. As curious as we all are, we cannot take any unnecessary risks. It just isn't worth it. So, to answer your question, I don't think I should ask him anything. You make a fair point. He's supposed to be coming by the bar today, so Diego tells me. It seems he wants to talk to Ty. Finally, Diego swallowed down the very last mouthful of his very last donut, sparing a look of sadness and longing for the delicious meal that had come to an end, with his muzzle caked in icing sugar. Diego delayed his response no further. I found it hard to take him seriously on account of his uncanny resemblance to a toasted marshmallow. That's right, he came by yesterday. Well, Ty and Adrian were camping. Or they're off camping. I shot Diego a firm, disapproving glare, which he responded to with an apologetic expression. It very nearly revealed what had transpired between myself and Ty on our camping expedition, granted that this is a game nobody keeps secrets, except for maybe Spencer and Ty. Thankfully, Dom had resumed the conversation at hand, neglecting to more closely inspect Diego's suspicions and unusual sentence structure. Any ideas on why he wishes to meet with Ty? Nope. Pretty much left as soon as he arrived, once he learned that Ty wasn't in. I see. But I still have my previous statement, or stand by my previous statement. Still stand. Do not do anything foolish. It's better safe than sorry. Yeah, you're right. Besides, I don't want to drag Ty into any of this either. It's best and only thing I can think of do is watch from a distance. We're not going to learn anything at this rate. And maybe we never will. But I intend to continue my search. Every time I think I've hit a dead end, I always turn up with something new. It's worth the persistence. You're right, and Diego will watch closely today. But beyond that, we'll keep ourselves at a safe distance, just in case. Yep, cross your fingers, one of us overhears something, guess. Indeed. At long last, Dom threw what little remained of his kebab into his mouth, finishing it briskly before checking the time on his phone. Oh crap, I lost track of time. Dom hurriedly stood up from his chair and began wiping the crumbs off his meal from his work shirt. I couldn't help but wonder what the rush was. Is everything okay? Yeah, it's just Eric's off sick today, so it's just me and the boss. He was stressing a bit about the workload, so I was only gonna take a half-hour lunch instead. Lucas wasn't receptive to the idea, but it was bold of him to assume he had the choice. Ah, yeah, that makes sense. After all, the Black Claws have a bunch of rehearsals coming up. They found themselves a basis, and their first show is booked for the next Tuesday night, or Thursday. Eh? I knew they had auditions, but they actually found someone? You never mentioned this. Didn't I? I recalled back on the previous night, our conversations had very much focused on the camping trip, or more specifically, the trouble we'd gotten ourselves into along the way. After that, well, I didn't really want to think about what came next. Nonetheless, Diego was right. It completely slipped my mind. Sorry, I was kind of about it last night. They had a bunch of auditions last night. Turnout was bigger than expected. The Black Claws still have a ton of fans here in Woodcrest, it seems. Anyway, have either of you met Jay? The name rings a bell. Wait, you mentioned him before. Oh. It was there when Eric dragged you into the strip club that one time, right? Right. Eric's friend. Oh, no. Does Lucas know he's in a band with one of Eric's pals? I don't think he does, but unlike Eric, Jay seems to have a lot more self-control. He also is one hell of a bass player. He's a terrific fit for the Black Claws. I sure hope you're right, Adrian. Lucas doesn't need any more headaches. Anyway, sorry for the to-gun run like this, but I need to get back before the workloads send him into a fit. Thanks for meeting us, Dom. We'll let you know if you find anything interesting. Good hanging with you, but next time, can you make it later in the day? Any later, and we'd be out of sunlight, Diego. And likewise, Adrian, I've got some ideas that I'll be digging tonight, thanks to you guys. Thanks to us? Yep, I'll let you know if I find anything out. Until then, guys, good luck with Spencer's visit. Catch you next time, Dom. Later, dude. Having said our farewells, Dom briskly departed in the direction of the exit that would provide the shortest route to Lucas's office. I'd check the time myself. The thing that Diego and I had some time before the shifts were due to begin. So, Diego, any plans to kill time we've got left? Me? Well, I've sold some shit on the internet that I need to post, and need to drop by the bank. My card's been acting up, so I'm gonna see if I can get a new one. Oh, and I need a new pair of shoes. I keep gluing them back together, but they keep coming apart again. How are you? Any plans? I'll take it you don't want to come along for my boring ass errands. Rack my brain for an attempt to determine how my time may best spent. Alright, Ty's birthday. I felt a sharp pang of guilt of having forgotten about it again, but thankfully it seemed to be the perfect opportunity to go gift shopping. I'm such a lousy boyfriend. I still haven't gotten anything for Ty's birthday. There's a good chance to sort that out once and for all, although I have absolutely no idea what to get him. A big-ass vibrator. You laugh now, but what you don't realize is that it's not out of the cards. Damn, dude. You two sure are something. Anyway, catch you soon at work. Good luck with your dildo shopping. I winked confidently at Diego, who beamed back with a cheeky grin. The two of us went on in separate ways, with Diego heading towards the exit, en route to the nearby post office, while I began to survey the choice shops, hoping to find some inspiration. Eventually, I located a store that sold a variety of different male beauty products, bearing bold and intricate scents, such as colognes, deodorant, shampoos, pomades, and even more besides. I'd hoped that such a gift would be a nod to our previous and future escapades, as well as our shared interest in indulging odors and smells. Sadly, it proved harder than expected. For one, every time I thought I'd found the right gift, I began to second-guess myself, worrying that I would embarrass myself with my unrefined tastes and poorly developed sense of smell. Things only got worse as time went on. My nose became entirely overwhelmed by the sheer quantity of conflicting scents, eventually losing my ability to distinguish between one and them altogether. It was almost as though fate were smiling down upon me when the cleric noticed my struggle and offered to assist. He asked a variety of questions about whom the gift was for, the sorts of things they enjoyed, the nature of our relationship. At first I was worried that I had embarrassed myself and given away too much information that should have been private, but on the contrary, this turned out to be the very best thing that could have happened. Returning from the back room, the clerk pressed a small silver canister labeled Tiger's Bane. It was a name that initially provoked some concern, sounding as though it might have been harmful. The clerk assured me that it was not, before finally giving me a detailed rundown of exactly what Tiger's Bane product did. I needed no further encouragement. It cost more than I anticipated, drained my bank account almost completely. Thankfully, today was payday, and my account would soon recuperate. And besides, this Tiger's Bane, oh man. Todd and I were gonna have a lot of fun with this, as much as I hated to match Diego's undignified expectations. Having secured the perfect gift, I ventured outside the mall, with plenty of time to spare, having done all I needed to do, and my schedule was entirely cleared. Until I was due for work, I only needed to decide how that time was best spent. Well, we're actually under time, but with these scenes going as they are, the next scene's probably going to be about 45 minutes, because it didn't be like that, and I'm a little low on time because I got stuff to do. So anyways, and this Let's Play, so comment, Let's Play. So comment, because I like comments, tell me what you like, dislike, tips, tricks, otherwise. If you like my YouTube and like Seek Grow, then please like, subscribe, and share the rest Epic Grow. Please remember to pay new and must have control of the pet population. And if you want to play this game, it's available for free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that make this game and or get the news version earlier, you can go to their Patreon, where it's $5 a month or $54 a year. And until next time, let's play me, GamerWolfSix, Sileo, Tales of a New Dawn. So thanks and see ya.